It is another wonderful day in the city of Owensboro. The commission has reached consensus, given me the authorization to sign a contract to bring the IceMen to the city of Owensboro. Ron Gary is here. Ron, I'm going to ask you to come up here because in a few minutes I'm going to ask you to make a few comments. What I'd like to do now is basically tell you what this means in terms of the city, what we're going to get out of this, and what we're going to give in order to get the IceMen here. Let me say this to you. The bottom line here is a savings to the city of Owensboro, that we will actually save $165,000 over what we're paying to subsidize the sports center currently, a year. I think that is just tremendous. But let me tell you what the IceMen will bring to this community. First is $600,000 of payroll for the IceMen. They are also going to make best effort to create a sports and simulcasting restaurant downtown that will generate another $600,000 in payroll. The sports center is going to go back on the tax rolls because we are going to sell the sports center to them for $1. They will expand the sports center. They will expand the sports center, spending between $4 and $6 million to take it from 5,000 seats to 7,200 seats, or an additional 16,000, or no, it goes from 11 to 16,000 square feet will be the expansion. Over 600 hotel nights per season, not counting patrons. Again, I said $165,000 savings estimated per year to the city. The city has a buyback option for 8 years that we can buy back the sports center at its fair market value at the time of sale, less $2.5 million that we've estimated it's worth today. What this does, again, is improve the quality of life in this city. We are going to be able to attract more people to the city. It adds another dimension to this city being called Sportstown, USA. We now are going to have pro hockey in the city of Owensboro, along with pro basketball. I think that's big, big. The total economic impact over 10 years, and we got Dr. Bruce Johnson with EDC, I thought I saw Madison here, to estimate that it will amount to $20 million will be the economic impact of this project to our community over a 10-year period. Again, I've talked about the fact that we will deed the sports center to the IceMen for $1. OMU has agreed to replace the 53 light poles in the parking lot. We will turn over to the IceMen $270,000 we were going to spend next year to replace the roof on the sports center. We will give them that money and they will replace that roof. The city will pay electric and water to the tune of an amount not to exceed $100,000 for 5 years. Okay, right now we subsidize $365,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. Bill, is that correct? 305. And less that $100,000 plus the 40 that is soft cost gives us that $165,000. Like any industry that comes to the city of Owensboro, we always provide economic incentives. What we will do, we will return to them all of the occupational, net profit, and property taxes that we collect over the 10-year period to incent them to move here. We receive nothing now, so again, if we don't do the deal, it's not like we're losing anything. But we do that for other businesses, and this is a business. CVB has agreed to contribute $40,000 for the first 3 years to help market the IceMen, plus $30,000 for the following 2 years. Thank you, Rick and CVB, for your agreement to do that. That truly makes this a partnership. The other thing we'll do, they have asked for our cooperation, no cost to the city, to obtain the new markets tax credits and tourism tax credits, if that's possible. We will help, Amanda will, as our Director of Parks and Rec, with any recruiting tournaments, marketing. We'll do everything we can to help them with those issues. And we will also share the parking, when it's not needed by the city, at the Ice Edge Center for their events. Let me tell you, folks, I can't say enough about the city staff. Mr. Parrish, Ed Ray, Amanda, this is one tremendous deal. I mean, it is a win for them, and it is definitely a win for us. So we're very excited to have them coming to Owensboro. And with that, I am going to introduce Mr. Ron Gary, the owner of the IceMen, to make any comments he wants. Once he does that, we'll open it up for questions. Ron, again, thanks, welcome, buddy.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Well, it's been a fast-moving situation, and I have to tell you how it came about. And that's about 3 weeks ago. A man came up to me in Applebee's in Henderson and said, "Mr. Gary, have you ever thought about moving the team to Owensboro?" He said, "It's the sports capital of the world." And I really had not given any thought to that. And so he said, "Well, why don't you go over to Owensboro and look at the Owensboro Sports Arena?" And he said, "From my perspective, Kentucky Wesleyan plays their games there." He said, "They hold 5,500 people." And he said, "See if you can convert it to a hockey operation." And I want you to know that the very next day, early in the morning, I went over there. And I was so impressed with what a neat history that operation has. And I saw the potential of getting that done. And so we have, in fact, brought in with us our commissioner of the ECHL, who did the inspection and approved this as a possible transaction. And then secondly is that we brought in a national expert who has converted many basketball arenas into and added to be a hockey operations. And plans are being looked at right now. This is an exciting time, I think, for Owensboro, because the IceMen have come over here at least 2 times in the last 3 years. And we've had scrimmages here, our blue-white scrimmages before a season starts. It's always, the edge has always been full. It's always been well-managed. It's unbelievable what a great youth hockey program you all have here in Owensboro right now. The Puck Hogs are incredible. I've heard all about how good they are. And I think one of these days we might be able to have a homegrown person come on to our hockey team. From this community, which would be fantastic. But I wanted to just share you that I, too, like the mayor has already indicated, I've been so impressed with how the Owensboro officials and staff have put just an amazing level of support behind this project, and know that it will continue as we keep working diligently to take our vision from concept to completion. We also look forward to working with Kentucky Wesleyan, Owensboro Catholic, the Kentucky Mavericks, all the community and all the schools that have the graduations here, who have enjoyed, really, the Sports Center for so many years. So we are so excited to have the opportunity to keep the IceMen in the tri-state area and look forward to growing the fan base into a brighter future. We need to hit the ground running tomorrow morning and look forward to the challenges before us that we will make this project a success. And thank you so much.
Before I open this up for questions, I do want to again stress something that Ron stated, that the arrangements we have with the Owensboro Mavericks, with Kentucky Wesleyan College, Owensboro High School, those will stay in place, unchanged for 5 years. There'll be no change in those arrangements as they exist today. With that, if there's any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer them. Anyone? Yes, sir.
Are they gonna, when they sell a sports center, are they still gonna keep it called the Owensboro Sportscenter? Are they gonna change the name or find a sponsorship?
Most arenas, when there's a transaction like this, go through a request for proposal and look to see what would be significant and positive to the community as the possibility of naming rights. And I know 13 in Evansville, they went with 13 different Ford dealers and came up with the Ford building. So we will be looking at opportunities like that, and we haven't done any work on it yet, but we will hopefully, before a season starts in early November of 2016, look at that possibility.
In looking at the sports center, and you want to increase seating to 70,
200.
7,200, how will that happen? How will that be done? What's the thought there?
They will, once we finalize this agreement, they will then begin work, it's my understanding, Ron, to expand the sports center. They intend to play games later on this year, but I'll let Ron expand on that.
Yes, we, in talking to our commissioner, and obviously need to have 200 feet of ice, we will be extending where you have the basketball court there. We'll be expanding that out, and we'll be making an extension of about 65 to 85 feet out into the current parking lot. And that will allow us then to have the length and the normal size ice rink in there, so that it will be conducive to ice. And just like at the Ford Center, on top of the ice will be placed back then as needed, the basketball arrangements.
Do your financials take into account the cost of conversion labor going from basketball to hockey and back again several times?
Yes, it does. Mhm.
Do you have the approval of the commissioner of the ECHL?
The commissioner did approve on his visit here for this building to be acceptable, subject to the final construction, obviously.
Do you have a date of the first game here?
No, schedules have not been finalized yet, but usually it will be, between October 15th and the first few days of November. And we'll probably plan on doing that the first few days of November and have the first 2 weeks of our schedule for this coming fall to be traveling to other teams.
When you came down here and you toured the sports center and you looked at some of the configurations that are going to have to be made to make this functional, what are some of the changes that are going to have to be made?
Well, mostly just extending the one, kind of a rectangular extension of one part of the building, which will allow then the 200 feet of ice rink. That's primarily it. And then, of course, we're going to add some other amenities to the new space.
Will there be suites put in?
That's a possibility, but we're going to be focusing right now on getting it ready for hockey in early November 2016.
Explain some more about this restaurant downtown that you alluded to. What's that about, and what does that have to do with the sports center?
Well, in seeing all the progress that's been made in this community from when I first bought Ellis Park, I did look then under our regulations with the thoroughbred horse industry that we are allowed to add an OTB into within 50 miles of Ellis Park, the track. And so seeing all the developments down by the river, it was suggested that we could add an OTB in that part of the development down in that area. And so we're going to, you have to go through an application process, and we'll be doing that and filing that in September or October 2016 for calendar year 2017. And that's when then it could be open sometime during that period of time.
So that's approval to what regulatory agency?
Kentucky Thoroughbred Horse Racing Commission.
How many do you employ under the IceMen right now?
Well, actually, we have, during the live meet, we have about 100 employees, with 20 of them being full-time year-round, and then you have about during the whole season, about 50 players that come in and out, moved up, injured, whatever. And then we have obviously a lot of volunteers, such as 10 off-ice officials, 15 of our icicle ladies, and several other volunteers. So about 100 people are actually working every night. We have a live day.
Have you had a chance to meet with your employees?
We have not, due to all the I guess, the quickness of the transaction. But we will be having briefing sessions with all of them.
And there are quite a few hockey fans that travel from Owensboro to Evansville to watch the IceMen play, and now that they'll be playing here at the Sports Center, I mean, how confident are you that you'll be able to retain the fan base in Evansville while they're still playing here?
Well, we feel like our fans are really serious fans. They love ice hockey. They love playing at the level of the ECHL. And, you know, there's 28 teams in that league, and we're proud to be playing at that level of play. And we think that we hope that all of our fans will want to come here. It's really a short drive. We're not going to have any parking expenses or anything this year, when we open up. And so from my perspective, I think it's going to be a good deal for them, and we're hoping that all of them will come over, because IceMen Nation is rising, and it's going to get bigger and bigger, and we're going to spread out our fan base, and it's going to be bigger and better. It's going to be brighter.
And when can we see work start on the Sports Center extension?
We're starting actually tomorrow morning with a team of engineers and architects to develop that game plan. And so as soon as we can get the construction started, we want to start doing that.
Mayor, how old is the Sports Center?
It was opened in 1949. It's 3 years younger than I am.
Just a young building.
And I guess this might be a question for you, Mayor, but I know there's graduations in there this year. Is this going to affect those?
That will be up to the new owner. I wouldn't anticipate it would. It would be
No.
to his advantage to continue with those.
We're community-minded in Evansville, we're community-minded here. All our fan base love what we do, and it would be our plans, we will find a way to make that not a problem.
You know, again, that was a good question, John, that, you know, this building was opened in 1949, and now Ron and the IceMen are coming over here. They're going to take that facility. They're going to put between $4 and $6 million in that building to renovate it, to make it really a premier sports arena. So, in having pro hockey there. So we're excited about this. I've got to tell you, this, you know, I like the way this man works. He's going to start tomorrow.
Has it always been a municipally owned building?
No, I don't have all the history here, but at one time it was a privately owned facility. Bill, do you know? It used to be, I can remember years ago when I was here, there was actually a recreation commission that operated that sports center. And when it was first built, I believe it was in private hands. Amanda, do you? Yeah, it's gone through several series of management and ownership. Anything else from anyone? If not, oh, yes, sir.
Do they have a location of the restaurant?
No, we have not. We will have to have all that gathered together by our application date, which is in September or October. Thanks.
And just to confirm, this is a downtown restaurant and off-track betting facility in one, correct?
Yes, we will
Yes.
provide that service, yes.
Yeah. They've agreed to make best efforts to get the agreement from the state and to get this thing open 2017, I believe. Okay.
And I might add that when I first bought Ellis 9 or 10 years ago, we knew the regulations allowed us to open up an OTB in a community within 50 miles. We chose to look at that, and we decided at that point there wasn't much economic development going on the river. A lot of things needed to be improved, and, you know, as we've been back here more and more and looking, we were just greatly impressed with the accomplishments of the community from an economic development perspective, and actually all perspectives. And so at this point, that's when that evolved into the discussions, and I would feel very comfortable making that commitment.
We have got a commission meeting, so we're going to need to close this up. So, Ron, again,
Thank you.
welcome to Owensboro.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.